Hello and welcome back to part 2. Today we're going to be starting the surfacing and we're going to be dealing primarily with the bathtub. So straight in the render tab, we've got the bath model selected there. We'll head over to the shader tree and have a look. We've got filter on selection turned on, so that'll only give us the three materials that are used for the bath. There's the bathtub itself, and then there's some little chrome feet, and then there's a chrome plug inside. The first thing we're going to do though is go down to our camera and right click and select instance. This will basically create a copy of our camera. I'm going to rename this close-ups, and then over here in this window I'm going to change this camera to close-ups, and then I'm just going to reposition this just so we get a better look of the bath. That won't affect the render at all. If we want to see the rendered version, we can just go up to the render camera here and just set close-ups. So now we can basically toggle around. If you want to do a final render, you don't even need to change this here. You can just go up to render, pull down menu at the top there and select render, or hit F9, and that will still render using the other scene camera. So this is what we're probably going to be. This is what we're primarily going to be working on today. So firstly, the tub bit we're going to actually create ourselves, but the Chrome bits I'm going to show you the preset library as well, because a lot of the textures we're going to be making are going to be split. Some are going to be going to be us making them ourselves from scratch, like bringing in images and actually tweaking the materials. Others will be just plain copies of using the Modo presets, and others will be based upon these presets. So we'll bring these in first, and then we'll tweak some of the settings to suit. I.e., if we've got any plastics, we'll bring in a generic plastic, and then we can change the colour if we need the colour different, or make it a bit more shiny, or etc. etc. So before we get into one making ourselves, I'll show you just the drag and drop procedure of using presets. So we know the feet here and the plug inside. Just go over there. There's a little plug down there. They're going to be just plain chrome. So instead of us reinventing the wheel, and the guys over at Loxology have spent a lot of time making these presets, so we might as well take advantage of them to some degree. So we'll do the feet first. So we're opening the feet node, and there's the general material that comes in as default when you create a new material with all the default settings. We're going to go over here to the browser, and I'm going to try and find chrome. So I'm guessing it's going to be in metal, so we'll have a look in there first. And you'll see there's aluminium, brass, bronze. It's good to have a look through these presets actually, because there's a multitude of different styles and types and woods and things. So we're going to go chrome, and I just want a polished chrome, because the floor is going to be like a matte concrete type tiles. So I'm going to put chrome to sort of complement the matte of the flooring. So basically this is the one we want. So I'm just going to left click on it. I'm just going to drag it straight on top of the node there and release. And that will basically make this new group. So this material here is still the same one that came in with the old group. And this is the actual folder of the one we've dragged from the presets. So if I open that folder, you'll see it's got a gradient and it's got a material in there. So that basically, this new material is going to override what we override our sort of default material that came in before. So what we can do, just to keep this tree nice and tidy, we'll grab the old one, which was the default one, and just hit the delete key. And then instead of having like a nested set of folders here, we'll just shift click over those two just to select them both, and I'll drag them out of the name of the folder that came in from here. So now this folder is empty, and I can just delete that. And basically, so all we're left with now is our feet and our gradient and our materials there. I'm not really going to talk too much about what these gradients and that do, because this is just a beginner's surfacing tutorial set. But basically, to sort of in a nutshell, what the gradient does, a gradient remaps colours or values based on an input parameter. So you can almost make sort of you can make a sort of procedurally generated textures using this. So in this case, our input parameter is the incident angle. So what this will basically do now, it will take our camera and the face of the objects which the material's on, and faces that are basically facing directly at the camera will have an instant angle of 0 degrees, or in this case 0%, and faces that are perpendicular to the camera will have a value of sort of 90 degrees or 100%. So therefore what you can do, you can look at the gradient in here and you'll see those percentages. So ones that are 0%, like faces on the object where the face is actually facing the camera directly, it'll affect the what we're doing here, we're looking at the diffuse amount. So it'll affect the diffuse amount by 45.72%, going down to when the angle's perpendicular, and 15% of the diffuse amount. So, but like I say, I'm not going to go too much into these. We'll look at these more in depth, maybe in later parts of this tutorial set, but we'll certainly cover those in future sets. So that's basically done. And if you look on here now in the render window, you can see these lovely chrome feet. So I'm just gonna pan up just so we can get a little look at the plug. So what I'll do now, I'm going to open the plug, and in there's a material which is the default material yet again. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete that. Now what you can do now, you can go back over to the chrome plate, drag it in, and then select these two from within that new folder, drag them into the sort of parent folder, and delete the empty one again, just like we did with the feet. Or alternatively, you can select them both and right click, and then you've got a choice here. You can either duplicate them, which will make new copies of, and then you can drag those new copies straight onto there, or you can create an instance of them and drag that on there. And with an instance, basically they're all the set. That's just an uneditable copy, if you know what I mean. So when you change the original value in this one here, the instant one will update automatically for you. In this case, I'm not going to be changing any of the value. I haven't changed any of these default values either, and the plug's not even going to be seen. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create an instance and drag them into the bath plug, and now I've basically got a copy of this material here. So if I do end up changing this colour to say red, or changing the gradient, it'll update these chromes in here automatically. Now that may or may not be a good thing, dependent on whether you think you're going to be changing materials or tweaking them independently of other ones. So now you'll see we've got a chrome plug in there as well. So next we're going to do the tub. So in here I've got a material, yet again, it's just a standard material, nothing untoward in there. So the first thing I'll do, I'm going to bring in an image now, because I'm going to make this bathtub sort of slightly marbly in appearance. So I'm going to go up to add layer, and I'm going to go down to image map and load image. Now I've got my assets directory just stuck in my favorites here, but if you want to find it, I think if you go to this is on the Mac, that is, you go to your Mac hard disk, and then users, shared, library, application support, hang on, shared, sorry, library, application support, Luxology, content, assets, you'll see all the folders in there. So I've just got that folder mapped in my favorites there. So we're going to go over to images. I'm going to go down to stone, and architectural, and marble, and marble beige. That's what I'm going to bring in. And there it is there. So we're going to bring that in. So straight away, you're going to see it appear in the model. And I don't know if you noticed, but straight away also, the ground automatically looked a bit darker straight away. And that's what I said about in the first part, about making sure the lighting isn't too dark when you get past that first stage, because you're only going to be bringing it up and up and up and up as you add more materials. So now we're going to look at some of the properties. So in the texture layers, anti-aliasing I'm going to turn off. That's just a habit of mine. I always turn it off when I'm dealing with images, just so I can get them as crisp as possible. And okay, we'll leave that as standard. And then with the texture locator, it's trying to. There's no UVs on this model at all, so we're going to be using a projection type from here. And basically what it's done is it's took the actual size of the model, and it's used that, if you imagine like a box, like fitting this bath within a rectangle, and this is the dimensions of it overall. So as you can see, it's stretched it across the whole model that way. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to change this to equals, which means I can just change one, and that'll change all of them for me. And I'm just going to put in 24 inches there, 2 feet. And then in the repeat, the horizontal and vertical repeat, just make sure it says repeat there, and then that'll just basically repeat it over. And as you'll see now, there's a nice like a marbly pattern, but it's not too, the grain is not too big. Okay, so I'm happy with that for now. All these things are forever tweakable. We ain't got to worry about things being set in stone here, so to speak. Okay, diffuse amount, I'm going to drop that down to about 70%. Diffuse amount is basically objects absorbing light, and the light which is reflected is what we actually see as the colour of the object. So the sort of diffuse amount acts as like a multiplier along with the diffuse colour here. The best thing to do is look in the online or the inline help system that comes with Modo, and it will tell you what all these settings mean. So we're going to leave that as white. I'm going to turn conserve energy on for this, which basically means it's going to try and maintain a physically accurate blend of diffuse and specular lighting over the complete surface of the object, and that comes into more emphasis when you're looking at angles and the Fresnel effect. So this is the Fresnel here. So in this case, I'm going to bump this up to 80. But like I say, look at the manual that comes with Modo, and that will give you a good explanation of what all these are. Specular amount, I'm going to drop this down to about 5. For now, 80. Roughness, about 20. That's just how rough the actual model is. But this is going to be like a polished marble type effect, so we don't want it too rough. And you'll see that when you start seeing the sort of the reflections and the specular highlights. Reflection, I'm going to try that on about 5%. And the Fresnel again on 80% for that. I want full scene, and I'm going to have blurry reflections on. Blurry reflection does give quite a dramatic effect. If you had like a mirrored ball with an object sitting next to it, and you turned on blurry reflections, you wouldn't really see the object reflecting in the ball that much. It does basically what it says on the tin. It makes all the reflections blurry. So we'll leave that off for now. So I think that's all for this. for this bath. So what I'll do now, I'm just going to hop back over to my scene camera, and I'm going to just pause the video and do a quick render of this scene, and you'll see how it's looking at the moment. So I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so that's just finished rendering there. So this is the scene as it stands at the moment now, with our bath surfaced and our little chrome feet. So that's the end of this part. When we come back, we'll work on some of the other items. So bye for now.